In today's episode, we are going to talk about our favorite books or books that have influenced us over the years. And we're going to elaborate on how they've influenced us and why we read those books.
That's right.
That's right. So, for myself, I like to read self-help books. I'm not much of actually, not at all, to read a novel. I never have been. I've tried it throughout the years. I'm just not a person to read a lot of books. So, like my husband can read books like crazy, and he likes to read where it's the stories. My daughter's the same way, and I'm like, I ain't got time for that, or I don't want to make time for that. I love self-help. I like learning something, and something that I can apply to in my life, or if I'm going through something, I can read a book in that book that some things may resonate with me. I learn something from it. So those are the types of books that I like to read. So what are the types of books you liked?
Well, I'm going to go back quite a ways. In high school, I remember this girl used to read Harlequin romances or romances.
Yes.
And she'd be just stuck in her book. And I thought to myself, what a waste of time, And then I became a young mom, and I worked really hard on the farm. And it was just like work. And I remember my mother-in-law also was into these romance books.
Okay.
And I thought, what is it about these books that have these women so glued to their book? And she worked hard too, but she'd sneak away and she'd read, she'd take time to read. And so I thought, well, I'm going to find out what this is about. So I did. I picked up some of her books, looked through, and they always had these pictures on them, these romantic pictures of a man holding a woman, all sexy. And so I did. I got hooked.
Oh, really?
I did.
Yeah.
And because I was on the farm, that was my only escape, because I was so far away from town and whatever. And so I started reading these Harlequin romance books, and it took me into another world.
Right.
Yeah. But health books.
Yeah.
I also had those. So I didn't really read those books a lot. Like I got it through my system and, found out what they were about. But then the next type of books I really loved was to get a hold of health food books.
Yes.
How to, different vitamins and different foods and healthy foods and how to prepare them. And so that, because I was on the farm, that was, those were my top books for reading at first. But then I wanted to improve like yourself. So the self-help books really resonated with me after a while, like the Tony Robbins, these books, just to learn how to become a better person.
How to become more confident,
which I really needed at the time. So those were the kind of books. But
so you kind of went from those series.
Yeah.
I think I tried, like there was the Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And I tried that as a young adult or teenager. And there again, I think because maybe I was playing music so much too, even at that time, that books didn't really interest me.
Absolutely.
But it was later in life, like starting to, and it was before Google, right?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have Google, so we had books.
That's aging us, but that's for sure.
Yeah, so we wanted to learn things. It's interesting talking about like books and Google. I remember going to a music business conference, and that was about 2010, I think, or 2011 in there. And I remember one of the panelists saying he was quite adamant because of everything, like Google was starting to really pick up and YouTube and stuff, that he was quite adamant that books were going to become obsolete. Within 2 years. He thought that before 2015 that books would be obsolete. Books, I think, are just as popular today.
They will never, ever become obsolete.
No, they just can't, because people...
They have iPads now, or books, iBooks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they're called.
Yeah.
I don't have
the
one.
Kindles, or that Audible or whatever that you can read. Some people can do that, but it's picking up a book and like I got a book in my hand for those listening, and it's smelling that book and actually reading something off of the pages, something that it's tangible. You can touch it, you know, and then you got a cover. And,
I like a book. I really, because my eyesight's getting worse. It's becoming not as clear.
Right.
And so to read, you know, putting on reading glasses and everything like that, it becomes a task. But I still do like to read.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and you get so much information from reading books.
Yeah, it's nicer than reading something off of a screen.
Yeah.
For me personally too.
Well, and we're on the screen so much with, you know, promoting music and everything that you want to step away from that and actually grab a book.
Oh, yeah. And going back to our types of books, the autobiographies of autobiographies.
Yeah, there's biographies and then there's autobiographies. Yeah.
So like a story, somebody's true life story.
Right.
That's what I really love.
Those are interesting as well, because then you learn more about that person, right?
That, and it inspires you. Like for me, I read a story about an artist especially, and that's kind of where I'm more geared to, is to, you know, the artists and musicians, whatever, like Fleetwood Mac or any of these bands, just to see how they live their lives through their careers, you know?
Yeah, because
it's so interesting.
Because when we saw those people, and even now, a lot of people think it's a total glorious life.
Another world that only musicians can be part of.
Yeah, right? And that this, you know, none of that happens to them. That happens to us in our regular life. Oh, there's lots of them that have dealt with lots of stuff behind the scenes that you don't see, right? Yeah. So
you gasp. You did that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I read a few books of artists, like bands, especially. Wow. The cocaine and the sex and the drugs. And
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll, baby.
So let's get into, you know, these different kinds of books over the years. The ones that I think for me that stand out more for me. I've read several, like even though I'm not a big reader, I've read over the years several different kinds of books that have influenced me in some way or another. And I go back to the very first one. I don't have the book. We got little piles here. We don't have all the books.
We moved too much.
Yeah. Yeah. But the one, it was by John Edwards, who is a medium.
Okay.
And the reason why I read that book is because at the time I was still living in a small town, and a friend of mine, her sister, started doing these
readings.
I don't know if she was doing readings or if she just started having the
sensing.
The sensing. She could do. She could sense things. People were coming to her from the other side and stuff, right? So. And then they did bring somebody from Edmonton up to Peace River, where we live, up northern Alberta. And they had this group reading with this lady. And I'd never seen that before, or heard of it, right? And I was mid-20s at the time. And I was just like, what the hell is all this about, right? So I wanted to understand. I was intrigued. I didn't go, oh, this is a bunch of woohoo crap or whatever. I was intrigued. So I wanted to understand it better. So my friend, I was open-minded because I was just blown away about what happened in that room that night. So she gave me a book by John Edwards, and I think it was called not Callings. I think I wrote it down, Crossing Over.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was that one. And so he was explaining how it all happens and everything. So I got a better understanding of it. And like you said, I was open-minded to it, right? So that way I got an understanding. But years later, that book played a huge part in my life when my daughter passed away. And I thought of everything I read in that book.
Did you reread it, or you just
stuck
with you?
I think she lent it to me. Okay. That's why I don't have it, and I gave it back to her. Always give back your books that you lend out. And but I thought of things, and I thought, there was a reason why I read that book.
A reason for everything.
Yeah, a reason for everything.
Yeah,
so that it gave me a better understanding, and it helped me. It was part of what helped me get through my grief. Yeah.
Okay.
So
For
it
sure.
was that was the first book that I really think of that had that kind of influence in my life. And so from then on, I've read other books, like Callings I have here, and Law of Attraction, and books about On the Other Side, right? Just to get a better understanding of that. So have you had read any books that kind of pertain to that as well, or a book that's your first book you figure that influenced you? Okay.
I have a couple because as I was yearning for a music career,
right,
I knew I wasn't a confident person, so I knew I had to bite the bullet. And a really good friend back then, when I was still on the farm, she actually gave me a VHS yoga.
Okay.
VHS. And a book called The Artist's Way.
Yes.
And I was getting up early in the morning to feed cattle and get all that done, kids off to school. But then when I'd come back in, I'd fill the wood stove in the wintertime, right? And I'd be all cozy with my breakfast and coffee. And I started actually writing three pages. And it didn't matter what I started writing. I'm tired. I want to go back to bed. This coffee tastes real good. Whatever it was, I just wrote it down.
That's from The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way.
Because I've read that book too.
It was a huge inspirational book for me to get me started in where I'm at today.
Right.
So I would just write all those 3 pages. And didn't matter what I wrote. And morning after morning, I do my yoga and then these inspirational writings. It wasn't that inspiring at the time, but throughout,
it inspires things from writing.
It was like
that.
Things opened up. The muse came to visit eventually, and I started writing.
Yeah,
I was just possessed. It felt like, So that book was just huge. It made such a huge impact. I have it to this day.
Yes, I have my copy somewhere as well. I read that book, and that's the exercise, I guess. That
it was exercise.
Yeah, that the author says to write 3 pages and fill the pages, and don't correct yourself. Don't edit. Just write. Write 3 full pages of whatever is in your mind that day. Yeah. So that's a really great book.
Really, a lot of really good basic tools, and then there's a lot of quotes. Really good quotes, and a contract to yourself. Here. But I still have. It was given to me by my good friend Celine. January 24th, 1997.
Oh, yeah.
So that's basically when I really started to, but she could see a potential in me at the time, because I was singing a little bit, and it was
that's a really great book.
I would recommend it. It's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron with Mark Bryan.
Even if you're a songwriter that's listening, or an artist of any type, actually, that you can, this is a really great book to read, and just to get, it would be something, when you get stuck, right? To read again.
I regret I haven't been able to, I've never felt that feeling again. I have been creative since, when we write, it's, but that was just kind of my first time to really connect with my creative self.
There you go.
And it just took off from there. And then I started seeing visions, I should say, of where I'd be at. I'd see myself in the newspaper and, about my singing.
Right.
And it became.
So that's a huge influence, that book.
That's my number one.
Yeah, for sure.
The other one would be Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yeah.
That's another one that really sort of piggybacked off of this one, because it just affirmed everything, and it did help my confidence a lot.
That's true, because now you've opened up the creative box, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's to go further with that.
Yeah.
And that's where fear comes in for a lot of people. And so to read a book like that, feel the fear and do it anyway, right? Yeah.
There's a saying, FEAR, they stand for different things. Remember?
False evidence appearing real. Yeah.
Or there's another one that's the positive one.
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah. Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments, because I know it's like, it's so empowering.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think there's a few things now that are for that acronym.
I should have looked it up.
Yeah, but that's the one that sticks out for me, because when I started reading books, that were about being more organized, right? Actually, I should have said 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah, that's another one. That, because that's why I'm so organized today.
You are. Oh my. We can do this music career without this girl here. Holy.
Yeah, so everything, the most important, least important quadrants and everything.
Right brain, left brain. You got everything going on there.
So yeah, there's just been so many, but yeah, the ones that are most influential that affect our lives. So that affected yours, right?
Huge. I mean, it was a journey throughout, because I'd have like my ups and downs for sure, but I'd always kind of like recall how I felt when I read that book and did the exercises and everything. And it was so, I just felt there was such a feeling of freedom.
Yeah. Right.
And
a release.
Just that creativity was coming to me. I didn't know where it was coming from, but I sure loved it. I sure felt good, because everyone has that creativity within them, I think. But sometimes you need somebody with a key to open the door and that's definitely this one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So another one that I read was Callings, Finding and Following an Authentic Life. It was more for me because I like to do so many different things, even though I always come back to music. Music is the staple, but I like to do so many different things. And I was trying to figure out, what the hell am I supposed to be really doing? Yeah. But later on, now just take, I don't have the book here, but just in December, actually, I came across human design.
Oh, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. And so it talks about the different types of personalities you are, kind of categorizes whether you're a manifesting generator, it's different things like that. So I got an even better understanding of why I have all these callings. Yeah. It's my personality. and it's just, I move from one thing to the next, and I'm always trying things. And if it's not working out for me, like after a year or 2 years of working at it, and it's just not feeling right, that I move on to something else. And sometimes people are like, well, I know people have said it about other people that have done that in the past, and they go, oh, they never know what they want, quitters or whatever, or they can't figure out what the hell they want to do. And it's because, you don't.
There's nothing wrong with experimenting.
Yeah, exactly. So these books, Callings and Human Design, help me understand that this is who I am.
You're not a quitter.
I'm not a quitter. I just like to do a bunch of different things. And sometimes when I try something new and it doesn't work out for me, it's not resonating with me anymore, I get excited at the beginning, like everybody does. You're trying something new. And then I'm just like, you know what? This is just, you start learning other things maybe along the way. Yeah. And that's where you just go, no, this isn't for me.
But every little thing that you've absorbed from that experience.
Now you chalk it up to, you learn some new skills or different things. So books like that, that have helped me understand my personality. So now I stick up for myself more. Like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't for me. I don't feel guilty about it.
Well, that's a huge thing, is if we give ourselves that freedom to go ahead and try different things, but not feel guilty that you're just a loser.
Yeah. What are other people going to think of me?
Yeah. No, I get it. I started things that, I never followed through with.
Yeah.
But, whatever. It's if you don't try it, you'll never know.
Well, that's the thing, like my husband and I have tried different things for business, and we've always said that, we're risk takers. We like to try different things, and we don't want to be 65 and maybe retired and going, well, we should have done this. We should have tried that. We should have. No regrets. Yeah. So yeah, those two books really gave me that full understanding of, that's just the way some of us are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on that note too, Tony Robbins, I remember his book. It was not Gentle Giant. The Giant Within.
Yes.
But the book was this thick. I know word of a lie. It was
a giant book.
If you're just listening to us, it was like, I'm sure 2 inches thick. It was so thick. It was like daunting. But it was given to me or something, or I can't remember how I got this book.
Right.
But I remember going through it, and it was so much that I just started to skim through. But I was getting a lot of the ideas of what it was about.
Yeah.
But I was so curious about this man that I actually found his CD collection.
Yeah.
And then I started listening instead. And if you know Tony Robbins, he's got this big voice, and he just, he's so energetic.
Yes.
You can't help but get like all energized.
That's right.
It too. So I would walk around at the farm, walk around 4 blocks.
Okay.
4 miles.
Yeah.
And listening to these when I had time, which wasn't that often, but I made time. And that's another thing, is when you make time for something, it's even a little bit of time to yourself to read. But for this, like I say, the book inspired me to get the CDs.
Right.
And then that became another catapult to set me off, because these were the first things I read. And then that Tony Robbins, and it was just another step.
Yes.
And then I left the farm.
Well, that's what got you to leave the farm, and pursue your music.
Yeah. So that was. But
so it's all Tony Robbins' fault.
Yeah, if you're listening, Tony.
Yeah, no.
But it empowered me again, another way. Like once something you're done with, you can't really. Well, sometimes you can go back and it will feel the same if you reread it. But sometimes it's a momentum. You got to kind of keep moving forward into another tool. Yeah, I think exactly.
Yeah. No, that's a great way of putting it. That you get another tool and more. I always say I got things in my toolbox.
Yeah.
That I've learned over the years that I can use, right? Yeah.
So I still have those CDs, and I think I lent you one at one time.
Yeah.
Except you're modern, you don't have a CD player in your car, do you?
No. Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, my car is a 2015. Oh. So they still had CD players. Yeah.
So that Tony was the giant within.
Yes. But I didn't know. City Girls and Cowgirls is our new single as of May 17th and is available on all digital platforms. This was a fun song to write because we talked about everything that a city girl does and everything that a cowgirl does. That's right. And we brought it together, and it's actually a fun line dancing tune. Two-steppy line dancing. So have a listen on the digital platform of your choice. City Girls and Cowgirls. We're all just city girls and cowgirls. So other books that like for songwriting, like there's The Artist's Way, but then you kind of like for like structure of songwriting, or the way to look at songwriting in different ways.
Music industry.
Yeah, and kind of how to deal with, getting your songs and stuff in the industry. And sometimes you get stuck with that too. So in the Canadian and American music industry, and I think he even had some influence. He lived in London for a while. And
what's his name?
Murphy. Ralph Murphy.
Ralph Murphy. Him. Yeah.
Any other musicians are listening that, remember Ralph. Ralph was oh my God, how tall was he? 6'5".
He was a tall guy, not heavy, big, but
just very tall, broad shoulder. But and when I read this book, if anybody's heard Ralph Murphy talk, it's like you're listening to Ralph. Yeah, so it's he was a very famous songwriter. I can't remember right now, like off the top of my head, the songs that he'd written. But I remember when I was learning songs from songbooks when I was like 13 years old, I remember seeing that name on many songs.
Wow.
And meeting him. It was just like, holy crap, this is Ralph Murphy.
I wish I'd have that book. I met him and all, but nope, never.
Oh yeah, and it's signed too.
Nice.
Yeah. So so it's books like this that it can help with your songwriting. It's somebody else who's been through the songwriting process of, pitching songs and different things like that, and just the different styles of songs that you can write. So it's a book I really need to read again, because I think, you can always enhance,
absolutely. We never stop learning.
That's right. And you can't, the one person I know, or it's in a book, I can't remember, the arrival syndrome, that, everybody think, or not everybody, but a lot of people think, oh, well, I've learned everything I can learn. And that's
then
what
and
that's what they call the arrival syndrome, like I can't learn anything more. No, you can always learn something, no matter like how long we've been songwriters, it'd be great to go back to this book and just read parts of it once in a while. Maybe there's that nugget that helps me, or, different things like that. So thank you to Ralph. Ralph has passed on now, but so I feel grateful that I met him and got some really, he was such a humble person and just soft-spoken and
gentle giant.
Gentle giant for sure. And other people in the industry are idol. Dolly Parton, yes,
the rock star, country star. She's just everything.
She is. Like I see. The more I listen to interviews and read books, I see a bit of myself in her. People say you always have makeup on. Well, I like to look good all the time. I like my hair to be good. I did at one time. Did not come out of my room until my hair and makeup were done. And Dolly is like that. And she's quite open about it. And I love reading her books.
Do you think you became that way from... How old were you when she became an influence for you?
Not till later in life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then I read her books and watch her interviews. And I'm like, I didn't have the town tramp, as she called it, that she wanted to model herself after. I just, because she's 20 years older than me, right? So grew up in the Tennessee hills, Dolly, and so I was more modern, like your mom says, modern. So
I think she had an outhouse, and you never had.
No, I never had. No,
That's where I can connect.
Yeah, I had modern plumbing. Yeah, so, but just things that she says and does, and I just like. Yeah, I'm like that, and she makes no bones about it. And I had a problem always dealing with that, I thought people didn't want to respect me or whatever, or just thought, you're stupid because you got to get your hair done all the time and, look good or whatever. But
you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And watching and reading from Dolly, it's just, that's the way I am. There again, right? I have a book that has somebody else that has said it's okay, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Made it okay.
Yeah, it's who you are. Yeah. So I'm just
be yourself.
That's right.
Who better to be herself is Dolly, even if she's got all this exterior facade. The hair, the makeup, the injections and the Botox.
Yeah.
She shares that with her fans.
Exactly.
So she's real.
Yeah.
She's so real about it, which makes her even more lovable.
That's right. When people say to her, Dolly, how do you keep looking so good? Good doctors and a lot of money. Yeah. So money can buy you anything.
So love that.
Right? Honesty.
Just being real.
Right. Sure. And she's fun and funny and
talented and creative. Right. Like that woman has written more books than we can even count. It's like with the children's books that she writes.
Yes. She's got a program that she sends out books to over 1 million kids in the States or something.
I don't know the number.
Is it 1 million books out to kids every month? And
she's not a mother,
no,
but she's a mother to these kids.
That's
through,
right.
Through the books, like by providing them with reading.
Yeah.
Books.
And she does say in this Dream More that, the more you learn, the easier it is to learn. So
that's a good
saying.
She always comes up with the best things.
I know, right? So when I read that, it was just like, and it makes you want to learn more. Mm-hmm. You absorb it.
Yeah.
Right?
Something cute about Dolly. She did she make a products or something for her dog, for dogs?
Oh, yes.
Doggy Parton.
Yes.
Like, she is so creative in anything that she does.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a book or it's products for dogs.
It's products.
Okay, so Doggy Parton.
Yeah.
Line.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Who else would come up with that? Like, she's just brilliant. She's
brilliant. Yeah, she is. You call her an alien.
I think she's an alien because I think you're part alien too, because I never see you without makeup.
I want to look good. Yes. So some other books that even for financial purposes.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have one right here.
Well, there you go. Yes.
This one lately. Well, besides The Secret, they're not financial books per se, but The Secret and The Magic.
Yes.
I think you have those as well.
Yes, I do. Have them somewhere. Yes.
But those two were kind of a blend of, creating abundance in your life, mm-hmm. other than money.
Yeah.
But we always think, myself personally, I'm speaking about myself, always had a shortage of money, always that mentality of shortage of money. I could stretch a penny into copper wire. That's how we used to, pinch the pennies.
Right.
And so I always had that mentality. Our parents taught us that you got to save your money.
Yes.
Money doesn't grow on trees, all these things, right?
Yeah.
So I had that mentality going into my mature life.
Right.
And so that wasn't working for me so good. And so I never had enough money, it felt like. And I'd always say that. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money.
Same.
But those two books,
mm-hmm.
I know you're going to agree with me.
Absolutely. I've read them, and it's about having abundance and changing your way of thinking and way of talking. Yes, being more positive so that you draw more abundance and positive things into your life.
But then I learned you can say it all you want, but you got to feel it.
Yes.
If you just say it, it's not going to. Vibration has to happen.
Yeah.
And when you get excited about something, the feelings you get, then that's the attraction.
Yes. Law of attraction. So
now I'm going to say the next book that I really resonated with me. My daughter sent it to me because she thought it was great for me,
mm-hmm.
and she read it. It's called It's Not Your Money by Tosha Silver, and how to live your life, how to live fully from divine abundance. So that rang so many bells for me,
right?
Just because it expanded on the other books that I read.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like, it's not your money. There's money everywhere in this world.
Oh, yeah. There's enough for everybody. Other books that I've read, Law of Attraction, Conversations with God. Yeah.
So it really said it in a way I could understand it and view it differently from a different angle, I guess you'd say.
Perspective.
That money, and not put so much emphasis on the money, but the feeling of what it can provide for you.
That's
that kind of abundance.
Yeah.
Be happy first,
mm-hmm.
and that will attract not just money,
right,
but happiness in other ways. I can get all kinds of abundance through. I go shop at Goodwill stores and I find deals and bargains and those kind of things. So it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't always have to be like money. It can be where it's things you win something,
right?
Not money, but you're winning something, or something great happens in your life.
Or you find the best parking spot.
Yeah. So it's abundance in that way, So it's recognizing having that abundance. So it's also when you're trying to, everybody, especially nowadays, people wanting more money because we need to stretch our dollars more. It seems
make more copper.
Yeah. So law of attraction, like the Abraham Hicks series.
Oh,
that
YouTube.
they're on YouTube, tons of videos on YouTube. But I also have the books, Ask and It Is Given and Law of Attraction. And anytime that people are talking about money, it's like what we do is we look at our bank accounts and go, oh, I don't have any money. This costs so much. I can't afford this and I can't afford that. The more you say it, the more you start believing it, and the more it's going to happen to you. So what these books do is turn it around and say, even though you're looking at your bank account, visualize, put a bunch of zeros behind, even if you only got $10 left in your bank account, put a bunch of zeros behind there and think you got 10,000, 100,000, and go, I'm so grateful I have $100,000 in my bank account. When you pay your bills, I'm so grateful I can pay these bills. I'm so grateful I got a roof over my head, and so on and so forth. So that way, when you start having gratitude with it, then instead of saying that I can't have that, I do have it, and I'm grateful for it. It's a different way of thinking, and
mindset.
It's mindset, and I could say when I was in my early 20s, I had that mindset of I can't afford it. And mostly my 20s, I think. And it was when I started reading these books and just it's all of these kind of come together. They know what I mean?
They do, hand in hand. They're like little kids holding hands in a circle. It just kind of all comes through.
That's right. They all say different things, but there's a lot of similarities. And then it starts expanding your mindset, your mind, and you start thinking differently. And that's how these books have influenced us, right? So even dig deeper into finances, I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a little bit too technical for me. You start getting into that. And so there's even another book, and it's Becoming Your Own Banker. And it's through like a system that my husband and I do now. And I won't get into it. And if you want more information, you can always comment below or private message me. But this has really changed our financial life. And we really believe in this. And, and it's through a company here in Edmonton. And just the gentleman that we deal with there, their mindset and how it's changing lives, right? A lot of people are doing this and changing their financial life, and it's really cool. So, and there's a lot of great nuggets in this book. I've read it once, but I need to reread. My husband, his copy, he's got tabs all over the place. And it's not a very thin book, all right? So, or it is a thin book. I was going to say it looks pretty thin. I meant to say it's not a very thick book. It's a very thin book. So but there's a lot of great nuggets in there. So even books like that, financial, like if you're learning that way. Other books that, even health books. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah,
that really, like I said, when I was young mom, because I had kids and I wanted the best for them, for myself, I would try to, read up everything I could on vitamins and what they should eat.
Right.
They were still picky.
Taste buds. Everybody's taste buds are different. Yeah. I don't do much of the health books now because there's so much on YouTube. Online. Yeah.
That's for where that I get way. Everything.
Yeah. So there's just so much. And, it's really cool how a book though can influence your thinking, how you it kind of influenced your way of life, right? So
like I said, autobiographies. I like to learn what these people have done in their careers or what made them do what they did or how they did. Oh, the one book, yes, I was just talking before we got online today, is Nick Vujicic.
Oh yes, it's a hard name. Yeah, we were looking it up.
But he had a condition, I believe, that he was born without arms and legs.
Yeah,
and he wanted to commit suicide. He was just like, as a young boy, and something, I don't know what what made him flip. Maybe it was reading books. Who knows? Maybe it was someone else that influenced his, a belief system to change his attitude towards who he was, and he was special.
Mm-hmm.
And that man is an inspirational speaker now.
Right.
And you will see him walking on stage on his little stubby stubs there.
Yeah.
And he's so inspiring.
Yeah.
It's such
to see people like that. Sometimes we really get hooked up on ourselves, like, oh, I can't, I'm feeling that I can't do this and I can't do that. And you see somebody like that and you go, what the hell am I complaining about? Right.
Like the saying, I complained about my legs until I saw somebody without legs. I was, but there's a saying about
Is there?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who knows if he read books or somebody just influenced, or he just, sometimes that's a calling.
Yeah.
Right? And he just felt he had to inspire other people.
Look into his story again, he definitely.
Yeah, there's lots of autobiographies where you of celebrities, not even celebrities, it's mostly, I guess, and even like country singers read some of those, and you go, my goodness, like everybody thinks they're living a totally 100% glorious life until you read an autobiography. And
was Dolly the first one for you, or did you have other?
No, I've read George Jones.
Okay.
I read his, and he used to his money that he made from music, he'd keep in a briefcase behind his truck seat.
Oh,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Whoa.
Yeah,
you didn't believe in your banking system.
Yeah, right.
Didn't know about it then.
That's
I guess.
Right. And just different things. People like if they were dealing with alcoholism, how they dealt with trying to have a family life and being on the road so much,
Loretta
right?
Lynn.
Yeah. So you've read Shania Twain.
Yes, actually, that was her. That was the only autobiography that really connected with me right at the beginning, because I saw her first on CMT. Again when I was on the farm, and I just was in awe of how she wrote all her own music, and she was beautiful and talented, and I didn't know her story at the time. Right. But I really, really connected with that when I read her book, because there were so many things, planting trees, and I use a power saw, and I was doing all these things too. Right. So anyway, it resonated with me a lot. And then I sort of followed suit by pursuing my career. Yeah. And like you're saying how Dolly Parton was a big influence for you. Shania was my influence. Right. And I felt like, people would say, you're kind of like Shania Twain. Yeah. Okay. Don't have her money, but I have her passion for music.
And I got called Dolly a lot when I was a teenager, because the big boobs and blonde hair.
Maybe we should do a tribute show.
Yeah, right? One day. Yeah, and speaking of autobiographies, I actually wrote one myself. I lost my daughter to cancer 16 years ago. And I had a calling, I guess, that I had to write a book about it. And my purpose of writing about it was to help other people who've lost children to cancer. And that maybe they resonated with what I went through and what I did to get through to my grief. And maybe it could help somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I got so many messages and cards and letters that I still kept to this day, that people that just went, oh my God, like it's not a very thick book, but it's right to the heart. And some people couldn't, they started and they said, I can't read it. And some read right through immediately. Yeah. So I sat through it. I read the whole thing. Right. Because of course, because you're my best friend. Right. So yeah. Good to know what you experienced. Right. So I've experienced trying to help other people. And that's what a lot of people are doing writing books, is they have this information and they just feel to share. Yeah, compelled to share and hopefully help someone else. Even if you help one person out there, you know that you've done something really good in the world. So lots of books. Terry Clark, I have those.
as well. So I've got Terry Clark signed. I don't have it here.
Oh, Terry Clark wrote one too?
Yeah.
My voicemail. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she signed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her.
Right.
So yeah, all those influences, all those inspiring people.
Yeah.
And people come to us and say that we inspire them. We haven't written a book yet, but we write songs.
Yeah, we write songs. So our songs that touch people's lives and how we are just out there entertaining that,
being ourselves.
Being ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, put in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Put in the comments that what books have influenced you. Maybe you have read some of these books that we talked about today. I'm going to put links in the description to all these books, and yeah,
I would love to know their inspiring books, because I
absolutely
probably like to read them.
Yeah,
I want to know more.
Yeah, exactly. Because people will say, "Have you read this book?" It's a really good book. So. Yeah, so thanks for listening today to our podcast about books that have influenced us, and we appreciate you listening and watching.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to today's Sugar and Spice podcast. We really appreciate you listening. We'd also appreciate if you could follow us on our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, and please provide comments of how you enjoyed this wonderful podcast. We'd like to have fun, and we'd like to have our listeners have fun along with us.